Okay, hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, Wednesday, August 26th, 2020. I am your host, Dave Ballard. Most Mondays through Fridays, our team will be here putting science in your brain. Usually, Wednesdays are set aside for Rocket Roundup, and today is no different. Let's get to it, shall we? Thanks to a number of delays, we have just the one launch attempt to bring you today. On August 23rd at 2:27 UTC, a Long March 2 Delta rocket launched from pad 603 at SLS-2 of the Jiuquan Space Center. Jiuquan Space Center is how that's pronounced, in northern China, which is the nation's most active spaceport. It was carrying the fifth Gaofen 9 satellite to orbit, along with two other smaller satellites. The China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, or CASC, quickly confirmed the successful launch and deployment of the fifth satellite in the Gaofen series, and also confirmed the successful deployment of two smaller defense-related satellites. The first of these, the Tiantou 5, is an experimental smallsat developed by the National University of Defense Technology. The Tiantou series of satellites masses just under 80 kilograms each, and in the past has included remote sensing and AIS receivers, as well as other experimental technologies. The other unnamed smallsat launched was also a technology demonstration platform, this one specifically built for the People's Liberation Army. The platform is intended to research various communication, navigation, and remote sensing technologies on behalf of China's armed forces. The Gaofen itself masses about 4,600 kilograms and is capable of sub-meter resolution imagery from its sun-synchronous orbit. It's part of the China High-Resolution Earth Observation System, or CHIOS, which was implemented beginning in 2010. The satellites in this constellation contain a mix of radar, infrared, and optical sensors, which can be used separately or in combination during observing runs to assist Chinese authorities in land surveying, urban planning, road network design, agriculture, and disaster relief. Warning: rocket launches are allowed. Okay, that's all the launches we have for you this week. But before we wrap up, I want to update you on the progress of three other missions we covered when they launched earlier this summer. Back in July, three different nations sent spacecraft rocketing toward Mars. The United Arab Emirates probe Al-Amal, or HOPE, lifted off from the Tanegashima Space Center in Japan on the 19th of July. Al-Amal is the first interplanetary probe sent to space by a country in the Middle East, and it will orbit the red planet, gathering much-needed data about the Martian atmosphere. 4 days later, on July 23rd, Tianwen-1 lifted off from China's Xichang Satellite Launch Center aboard a Long March 5 heavy lift rocket. Tianwen-1 is an orbiter plus lander rover combo that, if successful, will make China the third country in history to soft land a probe on the surface of a planet with a history of its own, of being rough on spacecraft. They'll be just the second country to operate a rover on the Martian surface. Finally, on July 30th, NASA launched a new Mars rover to space from the Florida Space Coast atop ULA's workhorse, the Atlas V. Perseverance will be the fifth rover the U.S. has landed on Mars, and it carries a small helicopter called Ingenuity, which will be the first flight-capable instrument to fly on another world. As we reported back then, all three launches were successful in putting their payloads on track for arrival at Mars in February 2021. However, minor course corrections on all three craft are a planned part of those trajectories at various points along the way. I'm pleased to report to you today that all three spacecraft have successfully made their initial course corrections, and all are in good health. To wrap things up, here's a running tally of a few spaceflight statistics for the current year. There are currently 3 toilets in space. 2 toilets have burned up. Total satellites that humans have put into orbit is 688, and that includes those launched from other in-orbit craft such as the ISS. Total satellites that we've put in space from launches is 672, and total launch attempts for 2020 is 64, including 7 failures. Annie keeps track of orbital launches by where they are launched from, also known as spaceport. So here's that breakdown. China has 23, USA currently stands at 21, Kazakhstan is 6, French Guiana, Japan, Russia, and New Zealand all have 3 attempts, Iran has 2 attempts, and Israel 1. Your space fact for the week comes from Beth Johnson. Jupiter's moon Io is the most volcanically active world in the solar system, with hundreds of volcanoes, some erupting lava fountains dozens of kilometers high. Despite this, Io does not have plate tectonics. And that rounds out our show for today. Thank you all for listening. I have been your host, Dave Ballard. Today's script was written and edited by Gordon Dewis, Ali Pelfrey, and myself. Our web content will be produced by Beth Johnson. Our executive producer is Dr. Pamela Gay. Daily Space is a product of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring our solar system and beyond. We are here thanks to the generous contributions of people like you. The best way you can support us is through patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. Like us? Please share us. You never know whose life you can change by adding a daily dose of science.